don't get in on the job. I was burnt out, and some of the reasons were 5 of my colleagues passed away in that 4-year term, starting with our own Pat McHugh. And then Nancy Diamond used to be the mayor of Oshawa passed away. And then our good friend and great leader, Roger Anderson, 6 months before the term was finished. But I'm telling you something, I got my mojo back. I have walked, since this pandemic, I have walked to the Pacific Ocean every day from 8 to 12 kilometers. And during the winter, I put on the cross-country skis. I have the energy, I can do the job.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Bruce, I know I'm out there walking when he's walking, and he passes me. Bruce.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you, Ted and Leisha, for hosting tonight, and most of all, thank all of you for attending. I'm going to start with a little bit of my history. I have 25 years of project management experience in the private sector. I have a reputation for getting things done. My family and I moved here in 1999, and I quickly became involved in volunteer opportunities, primarily focused on youth. About 10 years ago, I got involved in an opportunity to bring a new long-term care facility here to Uxbridge. I eventually took over leadership of that group. It became an advocacy committee, and I'm thrilled that the new long-term care facility will be built as part of the Campus of Care later in 2023. In 2018, I was honored to become the Ward 3 counselor. For 4 years since then, I've been the chair of the Finance Committee and have continued to be a strong advocate for our seniors. But enough of the past, let's look into the future. We have a downtown revitalization plan in place now. It was created based on input from 2,000 residents. It's not a plan from council, it's built on input from residents. This is where we want to see growth. Residents don't want to see it on farmland, and they don't want to see it built on golf courses. I will bring increased Durham Region Police visibility to our town to combat the ongoing reckless driving and property crimes that we face.
30 seconds.
I will bring trained, compassionate regional resources to help with the growing drug and alcohol and mental health issues that I see in our town. I have not one, but 2 affordable housing initiatives in progress right now. Ultimately, my job is this: to represent the nearly 60% of your property taxes that go to the region and to have that money come back to Uxbridge. It's time for a strong voice and determined leadership in the role of regional councillor. I hope you'll support me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. We now move to the candidates for Ward 1, beginning with Pam. There you are. Pamela Beach. By the way, I should have said at the beginning, if you would prefer to do your opening comments from where you're seated, you're certainly welcome to do so. Sorry, Pam.
That's just fine.
You're okay?
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Moderator, fellow candidates, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pamela Beach, and I'm seeking re-election. I've had 8 years of serving Ward 1, and I'm very excited to serve again. I enjoy making a difference in the community and in the municipality, and I'm available full-time. Council requires deep strategic thinking and attention to detail. Inflation is affecting all of us. We require a deep knowledge on key files to make things work and the momentum to deliver to what the residents expect. Financial stability is another issue. We must pay attention to our budgets and really focus on driving non-levy revenue. It is critical to keep our taxes down for our residents, and in the past 4 years, through non-levy revenue, we've been able to use or raise $5.3 million that is not coming out of the taxpayers' pockets. Tourism, economic development, we must leverage our natural assets and overcome barriers, and while driving economic development is very important. As a farmer myself, raising my family in this community and living here all my life, it is very important that we support the agricultural community must advocate and support our farmers daily.
30 seconds.
Downtown revitalization, a lot of decisions have to be made, hard decisions in the next 4 years and going on. Together in the next 4 years, we will plan a strategic plan through the CAO departmental objectives and establish key measures to identify aligning all the goals of council, the committee, staff to ensure good planning and use of our resources. So Pamela Beach for Ward 1, dedicated, community-minded. When we work together, we're stronger. Thank you.
Thanks, Pamela. Dominic Morrissey.
Thank you. Thank you, Leisha. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. My name is Dominic Morrissey, and I'm running for Ward 1 in this township. Tell you a little bit about myself. Been here 23 years in the ward. Coached hockey and soccer for about 10 of those. Little about my background, what I bring to the table. For 25 years, I wrote and produced music for television commercials. So I know how to run a small business. I know what it means to meet a payroll. After that, I did 10 years with the CFIB, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. It's a nonprofit lobby group that fights for small business and farms. I took a keen active interest in the agricultural file, and in fact, I wrote the district manager's training manual. As a result of my work on that file, I got asked to sit on the board at AgriCorps, which is an agency under the Ministry of Agriculture that looks after crop insurance, business risk management programs and whatnot, and in fact, I chair their Finance and Audit Committee. Currently, I work for a locally owned company that supports and supplies manufacturers all over the world, so I think I bring some chops to this game. In the next 4 years, Pam's right, there's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to be made that are going to determine what this place looks and feels like for the next 20 or 25 years, and that's why I threw my hat in the ring. I keep saying this, but if you were born here and stayed here, or you moved here, everyone's here for a reason. No one wakes up in the morning and go, oh great, I live here. No, we're here for a reason, and that reason should be maybe not the top priority, but at least in the top 3 when we're making decisions about where we're going. Town will grow, it will evolve, but what does it look like? What are the priorities? And that's why I'm doing this.
30 seconds.
Thank you. So I hope you think about your vote and what it means. Most importantly, I really hope all of you actually do go out and vote. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dominic. You're all being very good about the 2 minutes. I'm amazed. We'll move on now to Ward 2 and Patrick Malloy. Do you prefer Patrick or Pat?
Either way is fine.
Okay, just don't call you late for lunch.
Thank you. I just want to show you, when you get over 40, even though I'm wearing glasses, I just want to see the size of type I have. I think it's 28 point, but anyway. Anyway, good evening. My name is Pat Malloy. I'm a candidate for Ward 2. First of all, somebody said it already, thank you all for coming out tonight. It's raining. Thank you for your interest, and thanks for participating. And Cosmos, thank you once again. I don't know how many years you've been doing this, but thanks for doing it. It's great. I was honored to serve the residents of Ward 2 for 8 years. I served as councillor, deputy mayor, and mayor for a short time in the township of Uxbridge. Bev and I lived here for over 30 years. We've raised our family here. We've worked here. We've made a lot of friends here. I'm self-employed in the printing industry and have been most of my life. And I've served on over 20 volunteer committees and boards in Uxbridge, and I'm still active on many of them. I have the experience and the commitment necessary to deal with some of the serious issues our community currently faces. The tornado, the culvert. It's been a tough 4 years, that's for sure. And I'm concerned about our finances and where they're leaving us. Some of the issues particular to Ward 2 are making sure our roads and shoulders are safe. 13 up in Zephyr, they promised to do that in 2019. They still haven't done it, and the road's a disaster. So please, we need to get it done. We have to push harder, especially for our agricultural sector. I mean, they rely on those roads. They have to be safe. And the way people drive around them, I got to tell you, it's tough. Especially if you're driving a combine down 13 on one of those roads, it's a little difficult. So we got to get our roads safe.
30 seconds.
Wow, already? Okay, I'm going to jump. I thought you said we were all being good.
Don't worry, you'll get lots of time.
All right, good. Taxes, we have to worry about taxes. I'll be very quick. You know, and we all say that, no, we don't want to raise taxes. Taxes are a difficult thing. But there are some services that we do pay for in this township that we don't get. Transit's one of them, and we shouldn't be paying for services we don't get. And we've got to fight for that. We've got to keep our taxes down. We can't keep sending people home from our community. This is their home. This is where they live. And unfortunately, when they get older, they might have to leave. So we have to be very, very careful of that. 30 seconds, not much time. Then I'll only go over one other item. Many years ago, as you all know, we promised we'd build an animal shelter. We made a promise. We're committed to doing it. I know there's a way we can do it, and I'll present it to council as soon as we get back. We have to build the animal shelter. We promised we'd do it. And as the old saying goes, we're the ones we've all been waiting for. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Gordon Shreve. Don't rush, Gordon. You got lots of time.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Cosmos for organizing this event tonight. Well, I'm Gordon Shreve, and I'm working hard to earn the trust and support of Ward 2 residents. The solitary, rusty basketball net in Zephyr Park and often unplayable ball diamond reminds me of one of the reasons I'm running, and that is to play an important role in revitalizing our parks and recreational equipment. We owe that to the families who call Ward 2 home. I've been very impressed with our Parks and Trails manager this summer as we've been playing ball at the park. She's been excellent. Over the past 12 years, our elected councillors from the ward have talked a lot about road safety, especially at election time, but very little has changed. For example, the Zephyr Speedway is alive and well. And I'll work closely with our new regional councillor and township representatives to get things done for our ward. My 6-point platform, and I hope you'll pick up a brochure on the table as you go out, spells out and was developed after hundreds of door-to-door meetings with residents. I've listened intently, I've cared deeply, and now I'm ready to do my part to deliver positive results for the residents of Ward 2. My background and life experience will enable me to bring effective communication skills along with a genuine heart for people to Uxbridge Council. I'll model teamwork, but will not hesitate to stand up for our residents when proposals adversely affect Ward 2. In 2011, I rallied Zephyr residents when plans were underway to close the library.
30 seconds.
And together, we stopped that. And so decisions which affect Ward 2 should not be made without adequate input from taxpayers. So in conclusion, I believe I will be an effective, refreshing representative for Ward 2, and I look forward to serving its residents. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gordon. Now we move to Ward 3, and first up is John Haddock.
Thank you very much. John Haddock, running for Ward 3. I think we've heard it all before, haven't we? We've seen it all before. We've been here time after time after time. And we've heard the same stories. It doesn't matter if I've lived here for over 40 years, raising 4 children in the community. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is what's taking place. Where are we going? How are we going to do it? The fact is we're not taking a serious focus. So these things are all critical at this point, that we take a hard look at where we're going. And fiscal responsibility has got to be key at this time. Uxbridge is in serious dire straits. The downtown core has been lost nearly, but it can be brought back. The idea that we have to have people with some experience in order to take a look at the balance sheet and know what we're doing, where we're going, how it's being fed. So at this point, at this time, I decided to throw my hat back into the race and see where we go. John Haddock, Councillor, Ward 3, thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Thank you, John. J.P. Harold.
Hello, and thank you for all coming out on such a miserable night. I'd like to thank Cosmos, Ted Barris. I'd also like to take time to thank my fellow candidates running for Ward 3, as well as the rest of the candidates running. This really shows people care about our town. I'm JP Harold, and I'm running for Ward 3 Council. You haven't seen dozens of my signs with my names on them. As I stress again, I am funding my own campaign, and the signs are limited. I have 20 signs. They do move around. I like when I move them around. I feel greatly about that because of the impact of landfill and the environment. So that's why I've limited our signs. I've been a resident here for 45 years and raised my family here. I'm also a small-time business owner. Have been for 7 years, 2 businesses and 1 sold off, so I still run the one. I've seen many changes over those 45 years of being here, some good and some not so good. Many of the farmers' fields and green spaces where I used to ride my horses, my motorbikes, my skidoos, are now covered in houses and big retail stores. I understand the need for growth, but believe in controlled growth for a better Uxbridge, not the rapid urban sprawl engulfing our farmlands and green spaces.
30 seconds.
I feel higher standards need to be imposed on the developers to help maintain and preserve the look and feel of our community. Over the past few years, Ward 3, as well as the other wards, have felt the impact of the culvert, COVID everywhere, the devastation of the tornado, and now most recently the fire. I believe a plan needs to be developed to ensure support to the downtown core and ensure that small businesses survive and wherever possible, use local trades. I am not here to make promises, list promises. I'm here for your interest and your concerns. I have my own ideas for making Uxbridge better, but I am only one vote. Together, we are many. So for Ward 3 Council, please vote JP Harold.
Thanks, JP. Zed. Zed Pickering.
Yes, hello, Uxbridge. First, it's so incredible to see so many people out here tonight to begin shaping our township for the next 4 years. If I haven't met you before, my name is Zed Pickering, and I'm running to be the strong voice that Ward 3 deserves. Over the last several months, I've been campaigning to earn your vote, which is an ask that I do not take lightly. I know that a vote for Zed Pickering is a vote to begin working collaboratively to make Ward 3 an even stronger and safer place to live. Here we have an opportunity to elect an energetic leader who shares the same small town values that you do. We've got a lot of work to do together. There are the shared concerns like taxes and repaving roads and managing a budget. Those are the inherent responsibilities of anyone that serves on council. So what extra are you getting by voting for Zed Pickering? For number one, you're getting experience of leadership that I've been able to develop by working with local not-for-profits, sitting on those boards, and also with regional appointments. You also get a community member that's been out there with you at sporting events and local celebrations, and this unites us. And I'll be frank, standing up here talking about how I'm this and that is very difficult for me. I believe that you get to know someone based on the work that they've done. And I'm very proud of the work that we've been able to do in our community to make this an even greater place to live. I've grown up in Uxbridge. I'm very proud to be living here now with my wife Megan and raising our daughter here. And there's a lot to be proud of in Ward 3 and a lot of spaces of which to be proud. So again, I thank you all for being out here tonight. I'm excited to see what we can do as we move forward together. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed. Move on to Ward 5 now. Aaron Jones. Did you want to speak from there, Aaron? You had asked that. No, you're sure? Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erin Jones. I'm running for Ward 5 and want to be your representative on council. Thank you to the Cosmos for hosting this forum, Ted Barris for guiding this conversation, and thanks to each of you for being here tonight and giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself and my vision for Uxbridge. Our family moved to Uxbridge 9 years ago. We were instantly charmed by this town. Uxbridge has it all: a thriving arts community, recreational activities, lovely shops, beautiful historical buildings, and the kindest people. Many things have changed over the years, and we have been through some very difficult times. But we also have an opportunity to grow and thrive as we build back what we lost. I believe our future is connected to our past, that development is moving too swiftly, and that we need to create a greener future for our children. I have had the chance to visit many homes throughout Ward 5 and have had lots of wonderful porch-side chats. I'm hearing that many of you share my concern about overdevelopment. Growth only makes sense if it benefits our residents and our business owners. I will use my voice on council to ensure that forethought is given to the future, impacts of development, and that development projects reflect our heritage and our heart. Our historical buildings and storied pasts are assets. They bring people into the town and make Uxbridge a vibrant and charming place to live. If elected, I will advocate for town planning that builds on and respects our heritage character. And as we build, we must do our part not just to reduce our environmental impact, but also to mitigate the impacts of a climate crisis that is already upon us.
30 seconds.
We have a responsibility to undertake as many green initiatives as possible and to create more climate-resilient buildings and homes. With the downtown revitalization and many development projects on the horizon, now is the time to help Uxbridge plan for the future. The decisions we make now will affect this town for decades to come. I have made service to others a career. I have been working for charitable organizations for the past 15 years. In that time, I have led innovative new projects and championed creative ideas for growth. With my experience, I believe I'm the right person to represent Ward 5 and to guide the planning that will preserve our past and protect our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine McKenzie.
Hi. I promised I would wave to you, and I did. Hi, everyone. I'm Christine McKenzie, and I'm running for Ward 5 Councillor. I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. Ted, you said something really important in the Cosmos a little while ago. You said, I'm a strong believer in participatory democracy. You either participate in it as a candidate or a constituent, or you run the risk of losing it. I've been to every home in Ward 5 over the last few months, and the most frequent question that I was asked was, why are you doing this? Because I believe that the best thing that one can do with their life is to find out the things that they're good at and then use those things in the most meaningful ways possible, which is why I want to offer the skills that I've developed throughout my career in negotiation, in mediation, in organizational leadership, to bring strong representation to Ward 5 and to Council. My platform is straightforward. 3 things that I think are essential to the good governance of our town. Strategic action. We have good plans, and now we need a team with the will to move them forward. Expertise. The best leaders surround themselves with smart people and then lean on them for good advice. We can do this better in our town, and it speaks to the most important skill of a councillor, and that's the ability to build strong relationships. And thirdly, leadership. We need a council with a broad range of experience and perspectives who are committed to the job.
30 seconds.
We need new voices to ensure that we are making good decisions and that we are clearly seeing the needs of our changing community. These 3 things are at the heart of everything we're going to talk about tonight, from development to the downtown to taxes to the environment. It all boils down to having the right team at the helm. This is a really exciting election. I think that we have the potential to have the strongest and most effective council that we've had in a long time. And I'm asking for your vote to help make that a reality. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Todd? Todd Snooks.
Good evening. I'm Todd Snooks. I'm seeking re-election as Ward 5 Councillor. Communication is imperative to good leadership. Over this term, I have taken the time to see in person everyone who called, texted, or emailed me. Following the lifting of restrictions in 2021, I proactively hand-delivered to every home an invite to provide an email address to receive monthly updates. For 2 weeks following the devastating tornado, I sent out daily updates, and many residents shared them and connected their neighbors with me. Open, transparent, and effective communication through good times and in the midst of challenges is what I offer. I listen, I follow up, and I explain. Safety and accessibility. I led the charge to see Uxbridge have its first ever traffic policy focused on Vision Zero. New community safety zones and speed reductions. Pedestrian crossovers, the newest one at the Fields of Uxbridge. I listened to residents and worked with school boards to see safety improvements for Quaker Village Drive, including a new crossing guard, new parking measures, and a new start and end time to ease congestion. I proactively requested current road data, reached out and facilitated virtual meetings with residents concerning streets, and then successfully lobbied for implementation of road safety measures. As council rep for Parks and Recreation, through grants and community partnerships, Uxbridge made fiscally responsible improvements to almost every park. I drew council's attention to and advocated for security fencing and gates to help eliminate costly damage to our soccer fields. Elgin Park is getting a first-of-its-kind, universal, fully accessible playground and a walk of inclusion brought forward by our CAO's Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Working Group, which I have been honored to be a member of. I campaigned, advocated for, and saw through the completion, by way of a grant, the paving of Quaker Common paths. Road safety and accessibility improvements will continue to be priorities for me. Lastly, controlled, smart, and environmentally conscious development. I worked with the Uxbridge Downtown Revitalization Committee, made up of community volunteers who brought expert knowledge to the table. Now, with solid direction and strong leadership in place, I will continue to be a voice for focusing our development to our downtown core. I am looking forward to being a part of implementation phases of this project. There is still so much to come, and I'm excited for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. We now move to the school board candidates. First, from the Public District School Board, Gordon Baxter.
Thank you. Thank everybody for coming out. It's great to see everybody out here and interested in voting and making a difference in our community. My name is Gord Baxter. I'm running for school trustee for Durham School Board, the English Public in the Northern Schools. I've been a resident of Uxbridge for over 46 years, and also my children, 3 children, have gone through the school system here. I recently retired from the Ministry of Labor, where I spent 28 years working on regulatory committees, acts and regulations. So I actually know the government side, so I think I can help on the other side. Not that I agree with the other side. Okay. In my role there, I was involved in the health and safety field, and I was as an investigator, provincial fence officer, and adjudicator. I've also been your trustee for 2 terms in the past. So this is not my first attempt at this. I have my experience. I feel that I'm qualified from the Ministry of Labor's regulatory involvement. Also on the Durham School Board, I was involved in the Finance Committee, Parent Involvement Committee, Ethics Committee, Planning Committee, the Special Education, which is SEAC, and Transportation, and many more committees. So I'm very familiar with the board office. I would just like to take a couple of minutes and talk about my commitments. These commitments I have developed, some of my own and some from going door to door. And what I have found is what I like to commit to everybody here is to listen and support students and parents in the community. I think that's most important for a trustee, to be there for the parents and the students.
30 seconds.
Okay. Second one is get the students back in the classrooms, address gaps in their learning that we've lost over the last 2 years, support and revise the bus and school start times. Everybody's pretty upset about that. And finally, work with the board and the government to get grants and funding. Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon. Do you need that adjusted, Carolyn, that microphone, you okay? Yeah?
I think it's fine.
Okay,
Usually I have to bring it down, but this is going to work.
I think it's there. Thanks. Carolyn Morton.
Good evening, everyone. I am Carolyn Morton, a candidate in the October election, seeking the position of Durham District School Board Trustee representing Brock, Uxbridge, and Skugog. Firstly, thank you for providing us with this forum to share our ideas. We greatly appreciate it. I'm a retired Durham educator, having served more than 36 years in the elementary panel. I was first elected trustee for Skugog in 2010, acclaimed in 2014, and in 2018 I was elected to represent the 3 northern municipalities in Durham. I've thoroughly enjoyed my roles in education, and I would love the opportunity to continue serving. My greatest focus at the present time is to ensure that the DDSB students and staff experience a full return to normalcy in the classroom for the entire year. The past 2.5 years have been extremely challenging for many in our school community. Creating a safe, welcoming, inclusive, respectful learning environment is key to promoting the well-being of our students and our staff. During the past 12 years, I've contributed in many ways to the Durham District School Board. I have served as Chair of Finance for 5 years, Vice Chair of the Board for 2 years, and presently I'm serving in my 2nd year as Chair of the Durham District School Board.
30 seconds.
Thank you. If elected, I would advocate for the following: maintaining an emphasis on programs which meet the needs of our whole child, because social, emotional, physical, mental well-being is so important to our students if they are to achieve academically. Supporting all equity and diversity initiatives. Addressing the issue of bullying, as all students need to feel safe and secure and supported. And of course, I would always advocate strongly for any and all concerns expressed by families in the North. I therefore am seeking your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Move now to the Catholic District School Board candidates. Richard Damianopoulos. Sorry, Richard.
Good evening. My name is Richard Damianopoulos. I'm a husband, father, and experienced public policy professional. And for the last 2 years, I've been honored to serve as your Catholic School Board trustee. I've passed motions to improve governance and policymaking, and successfully overseen the investment of over $500 million in public funds in the service of Catholic education. I've served as the chair of the Audit Committee, vice chair of the Finance Committee, trustee representative to the Durham Catholic Parent Involvement Committee, and member of the Board Award of Merit Committee. I've also been speaking up on northern issues, such as affordable and reliable broadband internet for all. And I've been standing up for parental rights, because parents are the first and primary educators of their children. A culture that respects parents benefits students. Finally, and most importantly, I've been standing up for teaching critical thinking skills, which we need now more than ever, to cultivate a rich discourse in the community, and to push back on the speaking points and soundbite culture. Families choose Catholic education for a reason. We expect our students to get an education that is rooted in our shared values of faith, love, and individual responsibility. I'm asking you to send me back to the table so that I can keep fighting for our community and a positive vision for Catholic education. On October 24th, vote Richard Damianopoulos to keep on being your strong voice for parents and students in North Durham. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Tim Robbins.
Good evening. I'm Tim Robbins, and I'm running for the Durham Catholic District School Board trustee position. I want to first of all say thank you to everyone tonight for coming out. And I think I'm the last speaker here tonight as well. So I'm going to be 2 minutes. So Ted, thank you very much, and Cosmos, thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to tell you all tonight that I've been married 40 years to my wonderful wife. I have 3 beautiful daughters, all products of the Catholic system. I'm a product of the Catholic system. I have 4 grandchildren. 2 are in Catholic education this year, 1 in grade 1 and 1 starting in junior kindergarten. So I'm very engaged in Catholic education. I'm also 40 plus years serving Catholic education, coming up through. I'm a retired superintendent of education. I have experience in the business side of education, in the leadership side of education, and a senior executive, and working towards closely with the Board of Trustees and schools relating to community matters. Additionally, I've worked at various Catholic school boards across the province as an employee and as a consultant, as well as I've served on several Ministry of Education and provincial committees. I've also performed in an advisory role to the Board of Trustees and community and individual student, parent, and staff matters by providing guidance and leadership and support. Why am I running? I feel it's important to give back to the system that has enriched my life. I believe the role of trustee is to ensure that every student is successful, every student, and that their educational experience is based on principles of equity within a safe and inclusive environment. How will I embrace and champion diversity? As a trustee, I will demonstrate and champion principles of inclusion, diversity, access, and equity through the development and updating of board policies, procedures, and practices that represent the students and community that I serve.
30 seconds.
My focus will be to support all initiatives and continue to provide a safe and inclusive environment. I plan to engage all constituents from the Catholic school communities to understand and challenge their challenges and priorities, focus on effective and strong governance, and build relationships with other trustees in terms of governance of the board, and build a thorough understanding of challenges facing the board and how the board's strategic plan is intended to address these issues. I ask you all for your vote on October 24th, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present tonight.
Thanks, Tim. We now move to Roger Varley, who's here with the Cosmos, to bring forth a question that's on his mind. Sir?
Thank you, Ted. My first question is aimed specifically at Mr. Garrett and Mr. Ballinger, but if anybody else wants to comment on it, that's fine too. Uxbridge Council has 2 representatives that we send down to Regional Council to attend all Regional Council meetings. In the 17 years that I've been covering Uxbridge Council, I can probably count on the fingers of one hand the number of times the Regional Council representatives have given a report to Council and to the taxpayers of this country about what they've been doing at Regional Council, even though 58% of our property tax dollars go down there, and even though our regional councillors get extra remuneration for going there. So my question is, what can we expect different going ahead?
You should be able to, those mics should be live, and you can respond for a minute.
Is it live? Okay, thanks.
Down here, Larry.
Roger, you make a fantastic point. I agree with you. In both of the last 3 terms of council, I haven't seen any reports either. You'll see on my brochure that I've identified that as a void, and I can see and resolving it in 2 different ways. One would be to go into the rural communities, into the hamlets, and just have an open house. I think it would be both Dave Barton and I that would go there and just have candid conversations. The second one, I wasn't going to bring this up until Leisha was available to confer with, but I would see having a recurring article, probably once a quarter, in the Cosmos, which is the most read paper in town, to be able to give updates both not just on what's happening from an Uxbridge perspective, but to your point, when almost 60% of taxes are going to the region, what's happening broadly within the region as well. So I'm committed to doing both of those when I'm elected.
Jack?
Durham Regional Council that I attended for 8 years, things come up on the agenda in the township. I comment at council here what it is on the agenda. I did at one time write a report in the paper. I started once a month. I never got any feedback from it. No feedback whatsoever. So I have no problem going down to the region and reporting once a month in the paper on what's happening. No problem with that whatsoever. I know how important it is to this community. So if things come up that affect this community, like there has some things that have come up just lately that really affect the community, and I'm quite willing to let people know. So I don't make promises. I just go out and work hard and keep the best interests of this community in mind. So if you want reports, if that's what you're looking for, I don't have a problem standing up giving a report. Thank you.
Did you want to do a follow-up on that, Roger? You want to follow up? Well, Roger pointed out that he wanted to let others, and if one of you speaks on this issue, you all get the chance to, so by all means. Yep, Christine.
Is the mic on?
It will be in a minute.
I don't think that's a question just for the regional level. I think that's a really good question for all of us. I know that when I was going around talking to everyone in Ward 5, some people were very happy with the level of communication, and other people had never met their counselor and had no idea what was going on. So I think that it will be imperative for all of us in this next council to really think hard about how we can communicate more equitably and broadly with all of our neighbors about what's going on at council.
Okay, can I just make it, thank you for that, Christine. Can I just make it a little more specific? Clearly, there's the attitude and interest in making the communication link stronger. How? Yeah, okay, the Cosmos can print material that comes forward from the reports that you feel that, must be represented in the media. What else can you do to make that link?
There should be someone down there all the time. It should be on a rotation if that needs to be. The counselors should be down, sitting and making sure that any dollar or any grant available that comes available is then presented back to the council so that we can be there. But there's no representation. There never has been. So to ask what's going to change, unless we make a protocol in order to change that, we should be down there constantly, and again, it comes down to the squeaky wheel gets the oil. But we've never done that. We've never done that. So this is where it would come. If you want to change it, make sure that there's a rotation. The councillors can go down, get involved, and be part of the region on a more strong basis. But again, until we get in there and we make that and we push it through, it's not going to happen. And we've seen that. It hasn't happened. Let's be honest.
Anybody else? Pat?
I think one thing is very true. During the last, the tornado, certainly, communication is a big, huge problem. It seems if you're not on Facebook, you don't know what's going on, and not everybody here is on Facebook, I'm sure. That's probably a good thing. But
give me an example.
But, well, I think there's a lot of ways we have to do it, and I think it goes right back to our community. We rely on government for everything, but I think what we have to think about is our communities need to be stronger. We have to know who our neighbors are. We have to be able to stand at the fence and talk to the people next door to us, and we have to know who the vulnerable people are in our neighborhoods. And it all comes down to us. We've got to make it work. There's no magic solution to how everybody's going to find out, but we got to make sure that we're taking care of each other. And I think that's the biggest part of the communication, take care of each other, and make sure our communities are strong enough to do that. So let's spend some time building our communities, making them strong, and making it so you don't have to be on Facebook.
If there was ever an example when neighbors stepped up for neighbors, it was certainly during the tornado.
Absolutely.
And I can count the number of times. So, good example. But talking across the back fence doesn't necessarily accomplish the kinds of things that Roger was alluding to. Todd?
Yes, thank you. Is that on?
Yep, he'll be with you in a sec.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think it was important from my perspective over the last 4 years, as I mentioned in my opening, the number one way to be able to communicate with individuals in the community right now is not through Facebook, is not through social media, because there is a large number of people not on those. And the number one way right now is through email. And that is why in 2021, I went door to door and dropped off a letter inviting them, every resident, to have that email contact given to me so that I could get a hold of them with any information and updates as it came through. As Christine alluded to, those that took advantage of that would have been the ones that were saying that, you know, I was doing great communications. And I think the email is the number one way. Phone calls, texts, and whatnot, we have email addresses, we have phone numbers. Those are definitely ways to get hold of us. But as far as reaching out and coming back, that was the number one way that I found it worked.
Anybody like to chime in further? Okay. Did you want to follow? Yeah, please.
I've been to a number of these candidates' meetings on both sides of the table. And it's not that often that the school board reps get called on. So I'm going to call on the school board reps. I'm not too sure whether the Durham District School Board and the Durham Catholic School Board works for the Durham Student Transportation Board or whether it's the other way around. But it was impossible to get a hold of anybody at Durham School Transit to talk about this dead ending where students are required to walk to the end of their dead-end street because our buses can't turn around, and we're putting students on busy highways, and we're stopping buses on busy highways simply because you guys, and I'm sorry, Carolyn, but you're in there, you guys could not get it straight. Why are you putting kids in danger? Why are you not sending school buses down dead ends? And what are you going to do about it?
Am I live?
You are.
Thank
you are
you.
very alive.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, and I was expecting to hear that question because that has definitely been part of our conversation, not just for the last couple of years, but DSTS started the process of ending buses going down dead-end roads up to 10 years ago. And I know many of you are very disappointed that our buses are not going down dead-end roads, but there were several considerations. Firstly, student safety. And it was felt, and the province did come forward saying that it is unwise for drivers to make three-point turns, especially in the wintertime. So a three-point turn, you are going onto private property. So the CEO of DSTS, the Durham Student Transportation Service, is listening to that. We also have to consider drivers. And you know that Durham is experiencing a shortage of drivers, the province is experiencing a shortage of drivers, and it's not just in Ontario. So there are lots of considerations that have to be made. We did go to the province, and the province said, okay, you can go down dead-end roads, but then they were advising us that we could have a second adult on the bus who would step off at the end of the dead-end road and advise the driver on how to safely make that three-point turn. We can't afford to have two adults on each bus, so we do have a problem. I advocated, other people on the board have advocated for the province to help us in providing additional funding to make those turnarounds at the end of dead-end roads. That, to me, is the best solution. We need the province to help us.
Gordon?
Sorry,
I will
did
come
I
to you,
take
Tim.
too long?
No, that's fine. Just want to move it along. Gordon?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's there.
Thank you. And that was one of my commitments, was to revise the
the busing and the school start times, because there is a shortage of buses, and it is the government that funds it. So we have to lobby for that. They also don't get paid enough, so that's why we're not getting the drivers that we need, so that needs to be addressed. But as far as the Durham District School Board, the Transportation Department works for the Durham District School Board. We are the boss. So we can make decisions and make changes, and the trustees can vote on that. So it is up to the Durham District School Board to make that final decision. In the past, I'm old enough to know that you used to go down dead-end streets, okay? Now, how can we resolve this problem? We can resolve it by, when they turn around, we can't go on private property, we can't do this, we can't do that. And I'm in safety, so you should never back up a bus by itself. I agree. But what about parents that would love to have their kids picked up at the end of the street and we're volunteering to be the watchman for the back? There's got to be some solutions here to get it back in place, so I would lobby for that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'll get you a second, Richard. Tim?
Thank you. Is Mike on? Thank you very much. Excellent question. If I'm elected, what I want to do is look at, as the colleagues have mentioned, at the board's policies and procedures. Look at the practice in place and the number of concerns coming from each of the school communities, Uxbridge, Brock, Scugog. Look at best practices that's happening at other school boards. This is not unique just for our area. Driver shortages, driving down dead-end lanes. What's happening at other boards? How are they tackling that? Bring that back to the Board of Trustees, bring this back to Durham Transit, and implement change. If it's an issue, we've got to resolve it.
Thank you, Tim. Richard?
Thank you. Part of the problem here is that it's not a matter of the board's policies and procedures. It's a matter of the policies and procedures coming out of the Durham Student Transportation Services, which, as my colleague Gord here rightly states, they work for us, not the other way around. They're providing a service to us. So we have to remember that we have the power to end that contract if the service is not meeting our needs. That said, there's work that needs to be done to come up with a solution. One of the first pieces we need to do is put more resources into busing. We need to make sure our students can get to school. It's unacceptable when people can't get to school, when kids can't get to school. That constitutes a barrier to access to education. So we can't allow that to continue to happen. So we need to put more resources into busing so that we can pay for the drivers that we need, so we can recruit the good people that we need, so we can pay for the spotters to allow the buses to turn around on dead-end streets. So that's the first piece, is we need to put more resources into it, and I'll advocate to the provincial government for that. Secondly, we need to look at northern solutions, and one of those solutions is potentially low occupancy vehicles that can make turns in smaller areas and that can service areas that are less populated. So I'll be a strong voice for the north. I've been advocating for these issues at the table, and I'll keep doing that. And at the end of the day, we have a service provider providing us services, and we'll negotiate. And if that service provider can't meet the requirements, then we'll look for another service provider.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, if I open up to the councillors, everybody gets a chance.
Sure, great.
All right, here we go.
It seems to me the focus here, I mean, you're worried about doing a three-point turn in a driveway that probably the parents give me permission to do. What you're not considering is the fact that you've got kids walking down roads, particularly in the winter with snowbanks, and they're walking down a road. They're the ones in danger here. So I think they're in far more danger walking some of these routes like the 8th and some of the other roads in this town than they are doing a three-point turn.
Pam,
I think that's what the focus should be.
I thought I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you. I have a real issue with not having small enough vehicles then to go down those dead-end roads. I'm just thinking of two right off the top of my head that have a lot of kids, and there is an active bear on each road that the parents are petrified to let their children walk down that road or the two roads. They're using their cars, and a number of them, taking their kids down. I mean, that's not a good use of gas, et cetera, and, we're paying for buses, and I mean, bus drivers, yes, they're supposed to know how to do a three-point turn, and yes, the excuse is, like on private property, but if they've been given. But, you know, as Mr. Malloy said, it's the snow, it's the wildlife now that inhibits parents to feel free, and the timing of school for the kids going to school or coming home, that they're walking sometimes in the dark. So the parents have to go get them. The buses are of no use. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to move on. Something I've neglected to do in the first round. Didn't allow the two acclaimed candidates to come forward to offer 2 minutes each. So I'd like to invite Dave Barton to come to the lectern and offer his, if you would like to.
Happy to speak, but I think it's more important that we listen to them.
Okay, and Willie?
I'm willing to speak at another time if you wish. I'm interested in allowing our
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. That's great. Appreciate it. I'd like to throw a question to the councillors. There's an awful lot of people on at these tables with tremendous backgrounds in business. All of you have a connection, and some stronger than others. What are we going to do about the downtown core? Everybody says we got to make it better. We got to make sure that the stores survive. We got to get more businesses in. I'd like each of the councillors to offer an example of the way you would change that direction in terms of local downtown business survival.
Okay. This is one of the things that kind of was an impetus for me to jump in.
Sorry, Dominic, you're live now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Going back to we all live here for a reason. Where the old co-op was, we now have a 5-story steel and glass building, which I don't know what that's paying homage to. I hope that's not the vision for the rest of downtown, where we're going to have our square and all that stuff. It just looks like somebody from Toronto walked in and went, well, that'll look cool. It doesn't. It doesn't fit in. And if I'm trying to put a sign up on my store on Brock Street in downtown and it misses the Heritage Palette by that much, it's not going up. So I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I will cast aspersions on nobody, because I wasn't in the room. I don't know. I mean, that was a failed project. They were trying to fit it within.
Okay, but give me an example of something positive you would do.
Well, I'll give you an example of what Port Perry did a while ago, where they said to the stores that if you regentrify your storefront, we will give you X tax break for X number of years. And I don't know if you're aware, but at the same time, Uxbridge had a policy that said if your store is empty, we'll give you a tax break. That's a little backwards. That's a disincentive. That's not being smart. Now we do have a grant for regentrifying, but I think there's a big difference between a grant and a tax break. A grant says, here's some money, go buy a sign, as opposed to a tax break for some number of years, where I'm saying to you, as a township, I'm investing in you, you invest in the township. And I think that collaborative conversations like that with some of the people who sort of rocked that street in downtown, like the Rutledges and whatnot, I mean, get input from the people and see what it wants to look like, because like I said, the next 4 years are going to decide what this town looks and feels like for the next 20.
Thank you. Gord? Yep. Bruce, sorry.
Ted, I'm going to go straight to not what will I do, it's going to be what am I doing. I met with a developer about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and he had comments about what he wanted to do as far as developing an aggregate pit into luxury homes, and he talked about wanting to build an orchard. And I said to him, the first thing you need to do is come to town, look at the properties that we own that we want to be able to sell, and kickstart our downtown revitalization. He was receptive to that. I've made the connection with our township staff, and that's moving forward. So it's not looking what will I do, it's what I have done in the last 3 weeks.
Okay, fair. Anybody else? John had it.
So the downtown has been suffering for years and years and years. Now, I've lived here for over 40 years. I actually worked at the co-op at one time. And, you know, we can see where it's going now. If we don't, he's right. The next 4 years, we have to focus. It's about focus. It's about making a decision and going forward. You know, whether we're going to reface like it's the upper town to the lower town, but the issue is that we did have a tax credit that was being given. So why would they drop the rental rate if they were already getting a $9 tax credit, right? Didn't make sense. Why would I rent to you? So the idea is that we have to change the protocol and what our focus is going to be for going into the downtown. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, Hollywood can set up a town in overnight. Surely to God, we could reface the town and start a process of where we redevelop it, reface it, and bring it up. Because right now, we're basically a bedroom community with every fast food restaurant on the outskirts of town on the way to Port Perry. Nobody's stopping here, and we got great things.
Okay, thank you.
know?
Gave you a minute. Christine, and then Aaron.
Yeah, thanks. I think that our downtown plan is good. We have a good plan, and that's what I was saying in my introduction, that I think the very first item in the first goal of that plan is that in this next term of council, we need leadership to commit to implementing the plan. So that's going to be, I think, the difference between whether this plan fails or succeeds. It's going to be the level of commitment that the people who make up the leadership team bring to it, and it's going to depend on their skills as well, because with this issue and with everything else we're going to talk about tonight, a lot of these things are not solely within council's power to control. We can't force a landlord to redesign their building to make it look the way we want to make it. But if you have the right people on the team who bring good negotiating skills, who bring good relationship building skills to the table, then you can get an awful lot accomplished. And that's why I'm running, and that's what I'm looking forward to bring to the team, is those skills that will allow us to work around what we can get done on paper to do a lot more.
Aaron, and then Todd.
You're right. I'm keeping this now. I agree. We do have a good plan for downtown. What I would like to see is that we are building back more of our heritage character. Aesthetics matter, and that brings people into town. Character matters. It brings tourism here. So I would build that into the plan. Anything that the town is building, I think, needs to be built environmentally friendly and resistant to storms. But also, I would fill those downtown stores. We have tons of artisans and artists in this town. We could have pop-up shops in those empty storefronts. So filling the storefronts, I think, could be a priority. And then having initiatives that bring people into the town to shop. I would love to see a Christmas market down there, sort of like the Distillery District, where we bring out our artists and artisans and
That's what the town square idea was for.
Yeah, and have people come and shop and celebrate. And we have all of those elements now. We just have to create a cohesive marketing plan to bring those all together.
Todd. Anybody else?
I'll share.
Thank you, Ted. Yes, I think everyone has mentioned already that there is a plan in place, and the downtown revitalization program that has been put into place has 4 main pillars, and as already been mentioned, leadership is one of them. And it is the leadership of the current council that has put this plan into place through the great success of Judy Riseborough leading it from a consultant standpoint. We have put into place through Liz Housen, we've revamped our CIP program, that's already been mentioned, and that program allows for new innovative ideas for storefronts and beyond that, accessibility and et cetera, to be implemented and to assist those storefronts and the owners of the businesses and whatnot to be able to do that. So there is a lot already in progress, and a lot that foundation has been put into place, and we have an extreme spectrum of talent already on council, and we're looking forward to being able to continue it.
Thanks, Todd. Zed?
Well, yes, we've got a tremendous amount of bright minds that are business owners in this community. There's a reason why they've existed as long as they have. So I think we really need to go grassroots, bring it back to the business owners, and listen to their ideas and find ways that council can work to help them thrive and find ways to be successful. And so I think we need to get back to celebrating our community, remind people of the shops that do exist, And that's one additional way that our council can help support our small businesses, get our business back. I get my cheese over in town, and I do my shopping in town too. Some of us need a quick reminder of what we have here in town and get them back to great, thriving times.
Thanks, Ed. First to Jack and then JP. Jack?
22 years downtown Uxbridge in business. In order for that to thrive and go, it's got to become pedestrian friendly. And to be pedestrian friendly, you've got to get those trucks going somewhere else. I'm going to tell you this because 20 years ago, I went over to Orangeville. There was at least 15 empty stores in Orangeville. Highway 9 runs right through the center. Well, they stopped the trucks. They went around Orangeville. There's no empty stores in Orangeville. What you've got is carvings on the street. You've got a center boulevard with flowers and everything down so it divides the road in half. It's pedestrian friendly. Go to Stouffville. How can Stouffville get the trucks off the road? How do Markham get them off the road? You can't do anything if you don't make people feel comfortable, especially if you got kids. So I approached the region at one time and said, I've got the answer. I was sick of drive shafts dropping off on the road and holding up the traffic. And they said, what's the answer? I said, put in a roundabout at the four corners. Put flowers in there, put a sprinkle in there, make it so the traffic is slowed down and everybody feels comfortable. They come out and they measured. For a roundabout, you gotta have a diameter of 40 meters. If they did that, they would have been on the Bank of Commerce and on the show. So what did they do? Within a year and a half, you got your first roundabout up on Center, or up on the 6th Concession and Broad Street. But you've got to get the downtown pedestrian friendly.
Okay, thanks, Jack. You've made a really good point. JP?
I agree with Jack and Zed. Reminder of people of what is downtown, and I buy my cheese there as well. My wife and I travel a lot, and in Europe's, the downtown that brings the family every night is the piazza. So making green space, like Jack said, fountains, make it friendlier for our seniors to come, sit, children to play. I strongly agree we need more green space downtown.
Thank you for the comments on that question. And I want to move now.
Don't we all get to go?
Well, I didn't see any hands come up.
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
mine's up, sure.
Pat and
okay.
Pam, sure, I asked.
Thank you. No, sorry. Thank you. I think the good news is that we know that the upper part of town is fairly successful because the people that own those buildings take the time and the interest to make them nice. And I think our responsibility as a council is to make sure we can allow it to happen and make it happen, not necessarily pay for it. I mean, it sounds like we're going to go down there and build buildings. That's not my intention. That's up to the people that own the buildings. We just have to make it easy for them to fix them up. And I think that's the big responsibility. The owners of some of those buildings may not live here. They got to clean up those buildings. If they want people to be successful and pay the rents, they've got to throw something into this too, but we got to allow it to happen and make it easy for them. That's our position.
Thanks, Pat. Pamela?
Yes, we need to keep and grow the historic look downtown. And with the devastation of Sugar FX and the sushi place, that building being burnt, it's got to go back up. And we talked about this in our Heritage Committee that very night, that whatever goes back up there must have that kind of look. It's so important. And it was interesting, just in the last week, I've talked to two new residents in my ward, and they're business people. And they are looking to put money into our downtown, and they're going to be asking a lot of questions, and they've got the money to do so, they told me. And I'm looking forward to having more conversations with them to make a green space, make a community space. We need a gathering point in our downtown. Thank you.
Gordon?
Speaking from the perspective of people in Ward 2 who have been telling me about the importance of promoting tourism and the arts, and of course, wonderful things are going on in Ward 2. The most common thing I hear is that they want to make sure that the wonderful historical heritage of the town of Uxbridge is preserved. And I think the downtown revitalization plan folks are very aware of that sentiment. So I look forward to seeing that move forward. Thank you.
Did everyone get a first crack at that one?
I just have a question.
You have a question? Sorry.
I do.
I'm not going to necessarily answer it, but I'll give it a good
It's
shot.
okay, but I'll just say it. This question is to Roger. Roger, have you not heard this time after time after time about revitalization of the downtown core, and yet nothing has ever happened?
Well,
I mean, from 2008, the biggest mistake we made was the culvert. Let's be honest about it, right? We've gone over, originally it was at 8 million, it's now at 25.4 million, and I am sure it's on its way to 30. So we could have had a chance to redo everything at that point, but at this time, we've heard it before. So now this, going in, for whoever's going in this time, set your feet, dig in deep, and let's get the downtown done.
Okay, did I miss anybody? Did anyone not have a chance to address that question? Okay, I think I have to move on. I want to let the audience who've been here very patiently waiting for its turn. So I'm going to call those who would like to ask a question at the microphone to come forward. I will remind you that I'm looking for questions, not platform speeches. I think I can probably mouth what this first one will be from past experience. But Brock, you have the microphone.
Check, check.
It's working.
Thank you. I'm Brock Clark, a lifelong resident of the Township of Uxbridge and a current resident in Ward 5. My question is for Christine. I believe you are a candidate in Ward 5, but you reside in Ward 3. Why is this?
You know what? I'm going to stand up so everyone can see me. Thanks for that question. I was really hoping that somebody would bring that up tonight, so I appreciate it. My answer is, there's two parts to my answer. The first part is, we live in a small town. I actually looked it up last night just out of curiosity. I live 700 meters from the edge of Ward 5. I live in Barton Farms. I don't think it is more important for you to have a counselor who lives within the boundaries of your ward than it is for you to have a counselor who understands the issues that you're facing, who understands your concerns, and is committed to representing you. If I can. Here's the second part to my answer. Why did I choose to run in Ward 5? Like you said, I live in Ward 3. There's no incumbent in Ward 3. It maybe would have been easier for me to run in Ward 3. When I was deciding where to run, I did a lot of listening, a lot of asking questions, because it was very important to me, as it is to all of us, that we have the strongest team possible on council. I don't want to run against somebody who I really think should be a part of that team. So I made that decision with a lot of careful thought. And when I was talking to people who lived in Ward 5, two concerns came up fairly consistently. One was around respect. The respect that people in the ward felt that they were receiving from their current representation. And the second was around commitment and the level of commitment that they wanted to see with their representative. That is what I heard, and that is why I decided to run in Ward 5, and that is why I am committed to bringing strong and effective representation for everyone who lives in that ward and everyone in this township on council.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Ted?
Ted Ing.
You're there.
Ted Ing, Ward 2, Farmland. My question is, who put the gate on, the yellow gate on Brock Street West 2? Who put the gate there? I rented that property in 2013 to 2015. You have a gate. It's the only gate I see in all of Uxbridge. That's your downtown. There shouldn't be a gate there. Scarson, when I was in there, had 5 signs at the front where 5 people could park. There are almost 12 parking lots there. We are limited in parking. It is insane to put a gate. I want the gate removed. I think it should be removed. It is stupid to put a gate there.
Okay, I think you've raised the point, Ted. It's a Ward 2 issue?
No, it's not a Ward 2.
I'm sorry,
It's
I'm not
downtown
familiar with it.
issue.
Okay, who would like to respond? It seems to be an open question.
Take a look at it
John?
and remove the gate if need be. What's the problem?
It's a yellow gate. I drive by it every Sunday.
It's an R, oh, is it? For it, and it can't be removed?
Bruce?
I can answer that for you, Ted. That's a private property.
So you're saying it's
No,
private
no, no, no.
property?
It's a commercial property owned by people in Oshawa. They
Right,
sold
but
it
it's-
to
so it's
another
private-
company.
Ted, it's private property. The owner decided to put a gate up. It's at his discretion to do it. The township doesn't control that parking lot.
But you're setting a precedent, Bruce, that is bad for this township. And it's bad for the downtown. You have limited parking space. You go to Port Perry. I've been to Port Perry lots of times.
Let him finish, and then if anybody wants
Yes,
to
it
comment.
is an election issue. It's a design. It's a design factor in parking space. People used to have to pay for their parking spaces as landlords.
Does anybody else want to respond on that issue? Okay, thank you for raising it, Ted. Appreciate it. Next questioner.
Hi, my name is Mary Bridger. I am relatively new to Uxbridge, moving here about 3 years ago. Thank you. That's a refreshing sentiment in our town, I will say. I do speak on behalf of several others as well. I run an online group of young children, or not young children, of parents with young children. There are over 200 of us in the group. And I did some asking about what some of the key issues that they felt needed to be addressed in this election. Not all of them were able to be here because young children. But one of the issues that I haven't heard addressed very much is climate change. There have been a few mentions in passing about development. We need to look at development. That's very true, and that's a very complex thing that this town needs to deal with. But I haven't heard a lot of other innovative ways that individual councillors or trustees or chairs will bring this to the top of the agenda. So I'd love to, if anybody could talk about how they'll make that a priority.
Thanks, Mary. Any of you who would like have a minute each. John?
Great question. Great question. One of the latest projects we just completed is a floating road from Ajax to Whitby along the waterfront. That's made with concrete lighter than water. And it is a new building standard, and I'm proud that we finished that and it's completed now, improved safety and transportation. Carbon neutral on our buses within 10 years, we've promised. Our climate adaptation plan has been recognized as the best in Canada. And our home energy retrofit program for people who own homes, I suggest you go to the region's website, has been recognized as one of the best programs in the country for home energy retrofit.
Let's go right across if it makes it easier for me, Bruce. Do you want to chime in on that?
I'll just say, Mary, thank you for being the brave one to stand up and ask the question on behalf of the 200 people you represent, and welcome to town. Not much more to add beyond John's position, other than the municipality is looking for where we can put solar panels. One spot we've thought about would be the arena. Second one be, and we've had some discussions in council as far as electric charging stations for electric vehicles. We've also started, as much as we can, to move vehicles to electric if we can. The closest we've done so far was a fire vehicle that is a hybrid. The heavy vehicles for public works, the technology is not there yet to move to that standard. So we're continuing to evolve the fleet in that direction as they come up for renewal for replacement.
Dominic?
No, I think those, what the first two said was pretty informative.
It should be, like I said, about the preserving the feeling of this community is a top priority, and as should climate change. So, I mean, that's all, they all kind of go hand in hand, I think. It's being proud and responsible about your community, so, you know, I think they've capsulized a lot, so I don't want to chew up any racetrack here.
Pam?
Pretty much what the other candidates have said. It's important that we have cycling and walking safety routes. I mean, the charging stations, and as Bruce said, you know, the township is gradually going to be turning and getting more vehicles, you know, so that it's more efficiency, and it's really important.
Gordon?
I would just say keep up the great work. I'm happy to hear that. Thanks.
Pat?
You know, I think, actually, I sit on the Greenbelt Council of Ontario, and I think one of the things that we've seen is that people have to believe it's a problem. We hear so often when there's an issue and people say, yeah, it was like that 40 years ago too, doesn't really matter. We have to believe it is a problem, and I think that's the message we have to get out there so people do recycle, people do those things, and I think that's the biggest part. That's the start. People have to believe it, and quite honestly, we watch the news, people don't believe it. I mean, many of us do, obviously, thank goodness, but there's so many people that don't, the deniers. It's happening. That's it.
Come on over to my house after the tornado. I'll show you what it did. Anybody else? Sure, Richard?
As a trustee, I agree with what many of my colleagues have said. As a trustee, I have a little bit of a different focus on this. I'm focused on the minds, educating the young minds who are the ones who are going to solve the problem. And, you know, we do that. That education starts in the schools, and we don't just do it by talking about problems. We do it by creating a climate that's focused on innovation and solutions. We teach innovative thinking, and the mothers and the fathers of these young parents of the group that you're leading, these kids are the ones who are ultimately going to solve the problem.
Gordon, and then Carolyn.
You
Tim?
just took my thunder. I have a daughter who's 37, and through the school system and the schools, we're always looking for recycling. We're upgrading, and we're doing high-efficiency schools as much as we can when we maintain and we build new ones. We look at review to see if we can make a green school. But the thing with my daughter, when you asked that question, was she's 37, and she would go crazy if you didn't put the can in the right box. And that's from school. She learned that in school. So to comment further is that it starts when they're young, and we got to keep that program going, and we got to build from that.
Thanks, Gordon. Carolyn.
A couple of things. Firstly, it has to be part of curriculum development. We need that taught in schools from grade 1 to grade 12. And another thing that we are encouraging now is we are saying to parents, allow your children to walk to school. We've got so many people who are driving their children to school, dropping them off at the front door. We're discouraging that level of transportation and saying, let's walk in groups.
Tim.
Marianne, wonderful question, and I want to echo my colleagues in terms of education. From the Durham Catholic District School Board, and a former staff member of Durham Catholic, I'm proud to say that we started Eco Schools 16 years ago. That program, you might be familiar with that program. It's educating young minds. They become the future, and those young minds change patterns. They bring those patterns home, and the environment becomes number one.
The trick is to keep those young people in this town. Sid.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, it is about the young people, but we also have an opportunity to educate our adults that want to learn new ways to become more environmentally friendly. So our council and our township has an opportunity to not only leverage relationships with all levels of government to help us pay for things like solar panels and such, but we need a resource page where parents can go on and learn new ways that they can start improving, and our young people will pick up on that and continue running with that ball.
John?
The fourth concession has an incredibly large solar panel direct feed going on now. But if you take a look around, the township has not embraced any type of solar. Crosswalks, light posts, all of that could be put into the budget so it naturally changes over time, and as they're replaced, it's a protocol set in stone. You can't go back on it. You move forward with it, and solar and other means of solar re-energizing comes into play. It should be just a simple protocol that gets set into the budget.
JP?
Period.
I agree with a lot of what's been said. Our recycling program needs to be looked at as well. I love my neighbors. I hate them on recycling day because I'm picking the recycling up at work and at home. So our recycling program really needs to be looked at.
You mean people to adhere to the rules better? Is that what you mean?
Either learn how to pack a box, the blue box, or let's get some with lids. I know they're available. Whether our township has them, I don't think they do, but I've been in.
Tell the raccoons that. Okay, Todd.
Thank you. Yes, a number of times I brought forward, as Bruce has mentioned, vehicles when the township fleet. We're looking at new vehicles at any time. I always mentioned let's look at the options of whether hybrid or electric is available in for the needs that we have in that area. Also, electric stations have been organized and are going to be put into place through funding that is already in place. So we do have 2 that are scheduled to go in. Connectivity of our sidewalks and pathways. When we start to connect those, then you have those abilities to active transportation to take over where places where right now people are driving as opposed to walking because it's just not safe. There isn't a sidewalk that goes from A to B. So certainly that part is a part that can help as far as environmental as well. LED lighting. Most of our lights, street lights have been switched over. There's a program each year. They're being done as we go. As well as our buildings. Our municipal buildings are all being switched over to LED lighting, and most of them are done already. The arena, new ice machines, how to create ice and whatnot. That's all new technology that's being put into place.
Thanks, Todd. Christine?
Thanks for the question, and welcome to town. I hope you like it here so far. I've been on the Watershed Committee for a long time. It's now the Environmental Advisory Committee, but it was the Watershed Advisory Committee for a long time. One of the reasons why I decided to run for council is because I was getting frustrated at what I felt was an inability to get things done at a committee level, and also because I was finding that time and again we would find out about things that council was doing or that had made decisions about that we really should have had an opportunity to provide advice on. Our town, and I've said this a couple times already, is full of a wealth of expertise, and nobody expects councillors to be experts on everything. That's why we have advisory committees. So we really need to do a better job of leaning on that expertise and knowing when we need to go out and get it. And it was, so something that I think is a great opportunity for us right now with everything we're talking about with the downtown is green building standards. I think that is a fantastic opportunity for us to implement those now because there's going to be a lot of change in our downtown in the near future. And there's other municipalities that have done this well that we can learn from. So I think that's one way. I don't think it's fair to say that our kids are going to solve the problems for us. No, I don't want to say that to my kids. I have no doubt that they will be smarter and better than us, but I don't want to pin all of our hopes for what our future is going to look like on them. That's not fair. We need to do more now.
Erin.
Thank you for the question. Hello?
Yep, okay. You're there.
Thank you for the question. I agree. I'm a mom too. This is an issue that is of great importance for me and our family and everybody in this town. So a few things that have been mentioned already. We need charging stations for electric cars. We don't have that yet, but I think there's a grant available for those. I think we should switch to ground cover on all of our municipal properties so that we aren't watering anymore, and that can be drought-resistant ground cover as well. We lost a lot of trees in the tornado. We need to plant those and so many more. Retrofitting all of our municipal buildings so that they're energy efficient, and any building that we build now should have green standards and be climate resilient. I just think we have to have a view in every decision we make, how that is impacting our environment.
Thanks, Erin. Jack?
Thank you.
Well, there's one thing, they've got to quit selling off farmland. When you pave over the farmland, it's gone. So that's a big point. They're going to develop on farmland. It disappears, and generations to come, they'll say, what was wrong with our ancestors? They got their head in the sand, because if you're going to be self-sufficient, you've got to be able to crops here, look after your own people. That's not going to happen if they keep selling it off.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Thanks, Mary, for the question. You obviously provoked some interesting ideas and response. Thanks for that. And you've made an impact on your community already.
I'm Edward Beach. I'm currently the president of Durham Region Federation of Agriculture, which has over 1,100 members throughout the region. This question is to Chair John Henry and the two regional candidates. The Durham Regional Official Plan, which is known as Envision Durham, is currently under review. They had a portion in it to do with housing density. There was 5 scenarios to comment on. Scenario 1, the worst one, was going to use up 13,500 acres to put the houses on it the way they wanted it. All the way down to scenario 5, which is a 0. A lot of the people and committees commented on it. Most of them recommended scenario 5. Staff, I believe, recommended scenario 4, which is 2,375 acres used up for houses. And in the end, I believe Council and Chair Henry voted for a scenario 2A, which was proposed by the build community, which is the developers community.
And your question, sir?
My question is, farmers feed families, we need land. Where are you going to get your food from if you build it all with houses?
Thank you for the question. John?
So, thank you, and great question. So, my stop here prior tonight was I was out in Nesselton at a farm today talking about livestock and agriculture and the importance of farming. And most of my cousins still are actually farmers in the Blackstock, Tyrone, Nesselton area. The plan that you're talking about, 2A, is the Municipal Comprehensive Review is done every 5 or 10 years. This plan was done for a 10-year plan. It talks about the white belt lands adjacent to the edges of the city, most of which were owned by developers already. Some that were farmed were being rented. That the plan going forward doesn't stop the public consultation of what's going to happen. It's a plan that takes us out to 2051, dictated by the province, that they're telling us our population is going to double and that we needed to be prepared for that. The other part of that plan was if you did every 5 or 10 years, every 5 years or 10 years, depending on which the next region government will do that, we'll have to go through exactly the same discussions they're going through now, which means that if you had an environmentally sensitive piece of property on the edge of that plan, the plan would not take that property farther than the edge of that property. So what this allows us to do is it allows us to plan out to 2051 to meet our needs, to make sure the lands that need to be protected along the floodplains and the environmentally sensitive lands are done without having to stop and start over again every 5 or 10 years. So that was my reason for voting the way I did, and I believe that is sound planning, and it still protects the lands. 80% of Durham region will never change. It's cotton in the greenbelt. So I can answer additional questions later if there are any.
Thanks for the clarification on that, John. Bruce, and then Jack.
I don't think there's anybody in this room who's not concerned about the potential of urban sprawl. The current application that we've all heard about north of Quaker Village was for about 600 homes. This council resisted that. The developer did what he has every right to. He's gone to the Ontario Municipal Board to appeal that. And that process is going to continue to carry on. Ultimately, regardless of that decision, because of sewage capacity, it's going to be very difficult for that development to go forward. We've built a plan for downtown Uxbridge, and as I said in my opening comments, that's where we want our growth to be. That's where our residents want the growth to be. Right now, we have the slowest or the lowest growth in the GTHA. We're only at about 1.5%. It's by far the lowest in the area, and I foresee that continuing to be the case going forward.
Thanks, Bruce. Jack?
I was hoping this question would come up. It's under the growth management study, and it's what the needs are. The planning down in Durham region started in 2019. For 3 years they worked on it, and they brought in consultants. This is scenario number 5, where no expansion, no land, everything to be in the urban boundary, not to go outside of it, okay? They become complete communities then. They build in the urban boundary, you have more buses going, okay, so you've got a compact. This was their proposal that they put forward to the Committee of Economic Development, and it was turned down. It was sent back, and they said, no, this is, we got to have some land in there. Well, this is looking to 2051. They did all the studies, all the census, they did what type of buildings, what type of apartments, they did everything. The build industry, BILD, building industry land developers, they submitted what you said was 2A. Totally against climate change. I brought a couple quotes. There was 100 letters that I read. 98% of the people were against 2A, all of them. And there was 4 people from Uxbridge that wrote in. All of them said, scenario number 5 or the adjustment number 4 at the worst. That's it. On May the 25th, a regional council voted 16-1 to favor the build industry. 16 to 11. 2 people didn't vote. The same thing happened in April with Peel. Peel is giving up 11,000 green space and farmland. They're not listening to the people.
How do you change that, Jack? I mean, we really appreciate the perspective that you've offered. How do you, as a regional councillor, change that? How do you make them listen? Clearly, the voice of the people has spoken. You're now responsible to drive that home.
Well, we're responsible for it. I mean, the vote is done, but who's to say it can't come back on the table?
Okay, that's fair. Thank you, Jack. Thanks for the question. Next questioner, please.
Hey, all. My name's Robert Brown. I'm in Ward 3. I just wanted to echo the questions that came previously from the 2 other respondents. There's been a lot of talk about development in town, what we're going to do about development, but I'm hearing maybe a lot of platitudes about how this is all going to work. I'm wondering, like, in my mind, looking at the official town plan, you don't have the mechanism to stop development in town. In fact, when this development does come in, everyone says that they resist it, and then they will come back and tell you that they can't stop it because they have no legal means to do so. How do we go about building the fences within our legislation, within the municipality, to make the decisions we want to make instead of being forced to make the decisions that are being pushed upon us?
Did you want to direct the question to anybody in particular?
It's an open question. Can I just ask a question?
Yes, John.
Are you upset about the apartment building going up on the west side, or the apartment building going up on the east side, or the new houses going up, or the potential 174 acres that are going to be redeveloped? So when we look at all of that, these deals were probably made a long time ago. And as a constituent, just like you, I would be asking the question too, and I'd be on to our current councillor about what's going on and why, and be part of the open forum, which we haven't had for the last 2 years, which I think we should bring back, so that we have a time and a means so that we can get back and have an open forum so we can discuss these things openly again. But there should be protocols set. You know, if you look at the west side with the new building that's being set there, There was originally conveniences that were going to be built into that, but that got all scrubbed when the business ended up going bankrupt and they sold to someone else and a deal was done under the table and yada, yada, yada. So when that comes down, it's about setting protocols, about what we want as a focus for our town and where we're going with it. So that's the only advice I could possibly give, and you would probably have as much to give as I do, so.
Christine.
Thanks, Rob. I think that what we really need to do is update our official plan. So I work in environmental consulting. I'm an HR manager, but I work around these people all day, and we look at official plans all day. And so I know from what I hear and what I've learned that our official plan is weak. It's out of date. It hasn't been done since 2014. It looks like something that belongs in a museum by the cover of it. We need to update our official plan. It has no clear vision in it for what we want our town to look like beyond the little micro section in the introduction. So that's something that we really need to do that will help with this. If we have an updated official plan that has some teeth in it, it will help us it will give us the mechanisms to say no to sprawl and to help us look at creative ways to use our urban space more effectively.
Anybody else? Thanks very much for raising that, Robert.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next question.
Hi, Karen Materniak here. I think we could all agree when we're dealing with politics and we're talking about politics, we are looking for people who have integrity. We are putting our trust into all of you who are elected. When I am dealing with a ward who is yelling and screaming at a community member or community members in their frustration when they make an error, or they try to shut down a local business, when this ward is out of his lane, so to speak, who's there? Who's willing to stand up and say that this person is not doing what they were elected to do? They are overstepping their bounds. I keep getting, that's not my job. I spoke to Dave Barton. He was trying to remedy the situation. Once upon a time ago, I lived on a really lovely street. We all got along. Now, it's a disaster because we had a ward who made a decision to remove a couple of trees in a green belt, and he wasn't supposed to do that. He made a mistake, and we all make mistakes. But instead of owning up to his mistake, he listened to some other neighbors, and he proceeded to yell and call them liars and throw them under the bus.
Your question.
So, yeah, my question is,
to whom?
Mr. Snooks, where did your integrity go?
Karen, thanks for the question. I have never had the opportunity to actually discuss your concerns before tonight with you.
Excuse me.
So
excuse me.
I would say that those that were involved in the incident that you're speaking of have received correspondence from me and apologies in relation to what needed to be apologized.
You know what? You had an opportunity to step up to the plate, and we might even be voting for you today, but you chose
Karen,
to say
excuse
no.
Me. You had your say, you made your case, and I think it's only fair
Okay,
that we have a...
I have a recording and I have paperwork to back this up.
Thanks, Karen. Sorry, Todd.
No problem. I also have made those apologies and those acknowledgements to the staff that I was working with at the time. So certainly for the sake of time and out of respect for my fellow candidates, I would be happy to set a time to sit down and have a conversation with you and discuss this further.
Thanks for that, Todd. Yep. Next question.
Hi, my name is Ron Baumeister. I live since 1987 in Uxbridge. Love it. I'm from a country what Canada liberated. And we're very proud that, as a Dutch fellow, we're really proud of that. The Canadians are liberators. This country is known for liberation. Every year, as a kid, I had to go to the gravesite and remember that the Canadians liberated us. And liberation stands for freedom, peace, love, kindness. Now, also what's happening in the Netherlands and Germany and Denmark is de-escalation, education, instead of throwing the book at people. Now, also in this town, I have nothing, Pat, I have nothing against the bylaw officers, but I have some problems with how the bylaw officers are run. Do you know in this town, people don't want to speak up because they're scared for the bylaw officers? That's wrong. Number two, there are people out there who use the bylaw officers as weapon. Happens to me, and that's wrong. We should live all in freedom. So I really believe in education, reform, and not just throwing the book on. I was surprised that the bylaw officers never know anything about mental health and addiction. This fire is linked to mental health and addiction. Prevention, education is better than saying you did this wrong.
Okay. And
no, hold on, I'm not done, sir.
I'd like you to get to a question.
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
I'm done.
thank you.
The only person has something, and it's taboo, I understand, but I'm throwing my life in front of it. The only person who's talking about this is John Haddock.
Oh, no.
So John, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you what you like to change in this town, because I don't want to live in a nanny state. This is Canada. We are the liberators. Don't forget that.
So, Ron, when we spoke, you're right. I don't like strong arming. I don't think it's fair. You know, the bylaw officers and the way they have developed over the years. When I was younger, they wore khakis, I believe, with bylaw on their shirts. And they've now morphed into this, you know, small army that could possibly take you out in a quick round. I don't believe they need to be geared up as heavily as they are. I understand that they have the presence of police that are going onto the property. I feel that they should give a fair warning when going on. We're here to work together. To be able to access and go onto the property and knock on the front door and express what they're doing is vital. To have the right to just go on and cause an issue or a problem that may involve police at a later date, I don't think it's warranted. I simply just don't think it's warranted. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they have to be geared up with pepper spray and batons and everything else. And mental health, you were talking about that. If somebody was already in a very distraught position, having a bylaw officer coming on walking like a police officer may even cause more problems. So, you know, tone it down. Change the black vest to a baby blue or something. I mean, I don't know. But
Zed, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just to stay on the idea of mental health, and it's something that we have been experiencing, and I won't speak necessarily to the fire, but having sat on the board of directors for North House, which is primarily an organization that works with housing, you have to take a very big look at what mental health looks like and how it relates to housing. What we need to start seeing in North Durham especially is more resources devoted towards mental health. Yep. That needs to happen now. Yep. And it's starting to bleed, right? It's starting to work its way into things like bylaw and how we treat our neighbors. And so we need to start being accountable in Uxbridge. We're a community of doers. We've all been doing the work. This is what we do as Uxbridgians. So let's start working on mental health. Let's raise that issue and get the resources here immediately, and that will start working with.
I just want to add this to Zed. What he's saying is that, you know, he's walking the same path that I am. And I'm sure he's come across young teenagers and adults that have actually reached out to us to ask what's going on with mental health, that there should be more done here,
okay,
as opposed to, you know, making a call and getting a recording.
Bruce.
Thanks, Ted. I'll just make a quick comment as far as the support that's needed. I made it in my opening comments. We need support from Durham Region on mental health, drug and alcohol abuse, and homelessness. I've reached out to the region recently on some seniors issues, and they were incredibly responsive and came up with 7 people showed up at the meeting and came up with ideas of things that they would do. They didn't say, Bruce, you could do. We will do, said the region. All we have to do is ask, So I'm fully prepared to be that person that will ask the region for the help that you're looking for those people that need it.
Anybody else? Thanks for the question. Next.
Yeah, thanks. My name's Dennis Mazurka. I've lived in Uxbridge for 16 years. Is it okay if I just ask a question without any preamble? My question to, maybe somebody's got an answer, but this whole thing's about communication. That's why we're all here. And somebody mentioned earlier that there's a plan that the whole region's going to have internet access. So where is it? That's my question.
In my house.
Your house?
Yeah.
So would you care to explain, Dominic?
It's just one device and it's really slow.
John.
So thank you, and it's a great question. Broadband has been something that we've been challenged across 8 municipalities. And in the northern part of the municipalities, especially in the small communities, the providers that normally would service the southern communities don't really have any interest because the base for their profitability is not there. I'm proud to say with the support of Regional Council, we created a municipal services corporation. We're now running fiber in the ground. The first trunk line has gone from Pickering to Uxbridge, that we're now bringing fiber into the communities. The plan is to go to, by this time next year, we should be somewhere around 165 kilometers of fiber in the ground. And within 4 years, we should have close to 650 kilometers. Now, this isn't a service that we're delivering to the house. We're not delivering the last mile. What we're doing is we're making it available for the small business community to take advantage of what we're doing so that they can bring it to your home or to your farm. And I'm proud to say that that first trunk fiber in the ground was done faster than we thought and under budget.
Okay.
Dominic.
Yeah.
And then Richard.
Yeah, those are really great initiatives and everything, but as it was going up 47/Bloomington and I was cutting across WAG, I told them to turn down WAG and they wouldn't. So, I mean, all joking aside, there are going to be massive pockets in the rural communities that will never touch that. And there's other solutions that should be and could be looked at. I'm working right now in another incarnation with a company that does TV white noise. And if you remember old days, you had the rabbit ears. They would blast the TV signal and it would go through trees, over hills, around. You didn't need line of sight. It was a cloud. Well, what they do is they take the signal, convert it to TV white noise, blast it for 30, 35 kilometers, the whole bubble. You have a receiver that decodes it and you've got high-speed internet. So they're using it in Africa right now. They're using it in the oil sands out west. That's something that I think should be a conversation because that solves in Ward 1, have a look at the map, that solves the 80% of the people who, I have a 70-foot tower to get bad internet. It solves that, and they're never gonna pull fiber down my road unless we all collectively kick out like 80 grand or something. It's just not worth it for the small pocket, but there are other things that can be done.
Okay, thanks, Dominic. Richard, coming back to you, John. Richard?
Thanks for the question. We saw this disparity a couple of years ago when COVID-19 hit our region, and students in the north, when in-person learning was shut down, students in the north had to go home, and some of them couldn't connect to learning. Now, it's not, I'm well aware that it's not within the jurisdiction of the school board to improve internet services, but I was acutely aware of the impact this had on our community and our students. So what I did was I went down to the school board and I brought a motion to that board to say we need to reach out to the federal government and to the provincial government and tell them our story, tell them how we as a northern community were impacted by the lack of service, the lack of reliable service in our community and how that impacted our children. So I brought that to the board, and the board passed a motion, and we engaged with the federal government and the provincial government to call for more resources. So, well, it wasn't something that was directly in our control. I was aware of how it impacted us, and I stood up for our community. I told our story at the school board. I told our story amongst the southern municipalities that don't have the same level of challenge we have with broadband, and I got them on board, and we reached out to other levels of government. I used our voice on that issue, and I'll do it again.
Thank you very much. John?
Sorry, I think it's a bigger problem because I, by the way, have that 70-foot tower, and we had ExploreNet, we had Bell, we had everything to try and get something out there. But the idea that, you know, we've got a problem, we don't have enough electricity coming up into Uxbridge for industry. We don't have enough sewage. We have a water problem issue. The internet is just an issue, and it really should be implemented into the town basics. That if any development goes forward, these are basic necessities that have to be put in there before you ever break ground. Period. You solve that problem, then you get the privilege to come into our town and start breaking ground for something bigger and better.
Thanks, John. We have, I think, 3 questioners left, and then 1, 2, 3, and then I got to move to the closing statements.
Hi friends, this is my daughter, Bella, and she just, she had some questions. She's not today's voter, but she's tomorrow's voter, and she has things about what's happening in our community.
There have been a lot of fires going on in Uxbridge for this year. We have been able to put them out, but they have just been coming again. And we need help stop this. And we need to thank our firefighters for being who they are. We have a few new leaders that are hoping to be elected this year. And sometimes that can be a risk, but sometimes it can be better.
Not only tomorrow's future voter, but perhaps politician. Did you want to say something, Bruce? I don't think you can top that.
I wouldn't dare. It was Bella, wasn't it? Bella, thank you so much for being so brave to stand up there. You're right, this has been a really tough 2, 3, 4 years for events that have happened in our town, specifically with the tornado and most recently the fire. Your point was perfect as far as the response from our fire department. One issue when I was speaking to Mike McDonald was the response that he had to call on from Stouffville to bring in an aerial truck in order to much more effectively fight that fire. And in effect, probably through the help from Stouffville is what saved that fire from going throughout the block. With the discussions with Mike, he's thrilled the fact that this council has supported the purchase of a new aerial. It's not an addition to the fleet. It's a replacement of a vehicle that is now timed out and it's 20 years old. This one's coming in. I pray that we never have another fire like that, but going into the future, we've got the right equipment to more quickly attack it.
Thanks.
I feel like I've been completely upstaged by Bella. Well, well done, that was amazing. So my question is for Ward 3, and I guess if there's time, Ward 2, but Ward 3 is in a unique position because it has no incumbent this year, as well as Ward 2. So my question is, well, there's some preamble, so I apologize. It's easy to complain, it's easy to point the finger and say that, this could have been done better, this could have been done better, but I think it's harder to collaborate and to work with different groups and actually get stuff done. And you guys are all long-term residents of Uxbridge, and I'd like to hear what you have done in your years here to better the community.
From Ward 3.
From Ward 3 specifically.
Okay. JP, you're up.
I'm past president of Kinsman clubs, been involved in many clubs. Kinsman, the adult hockey league here, the Bonner Boys, a lot of the charities, Right to Remember, AfroCycle, which my daughter and my son-in-law run. I'm in the midst of, with this tornado, I'm working with a large, very large tree farm, who are friends of mine, in getting trees to replace the ones we've lost. I'm hoping to do that with an abundance of trees. We're still fighting over a number, but at free cost, no charge to the taxpayers, so.
Thanks, JP. John?
Hi. So with the idea that I've lived in the community for over 40 years and I'm raising a young family here, and working with Ward 3, which at one time was my ward, by the way, and I've worked and socialed within the community for many years. However, my business is not in the ward, and I have nothing to gain by that. So, you know, when I come to the table, it's for the better. It's only to see the very best for me, my family, which would obviously relate to you. And on that, if you take a look, if you've got a brochure of, if you've seen this come around, we've set up a toll-free number for the ward. It's live 24/7. If you have an issue or a concern or an idea, I suggest that you call it so we get it onto the action plan so that we can have it solved typically within 90 days. Or email me and we'll always get back to you right away. But again, having something there that works for the community and working together is vital.
Thanks, John. Sid?
Well, what brings me a tremendous amount of joy, I don't typically like speaking about what I've done and what I haven't done. I hope that you've seen some of my work in the community. And what's so wonderful about being here tonight is that there are many faces that I've worked on different programs with. We got grocery cards to our grocery worker, gift cards to our grocery workers to say thank you for all that they did during the COVID response. We were able to quickly mobilize and start getting really important medical equipment out to Ukraine when we saw that disaster begin to happen. Christmas trees went to the food bank so that they could have some extra holiday cheer. We've done a lot of really great work in this community together, and that's why I'm so excited to now put my hat in the ring as a candidate for Ward 3, because when a community comes together, that's when we really start to see the power, and there's a lot more to be done, and thanks so much for your question. And Bella, wherever you are, that was so powerful. I'm hoping to hold the spot so that you can take over in a couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Hi, my name's Caitlin. Am I supposed to say what ward I'm in? I'm in Ward 3. My question is for everybody, though. Here tonight, I'm here with my dad, and I see a lot of my parents' friends and then fellow Rotarians. But I don't see a lot of people my own age, which sounds crazy because I'm 36, and I've been here at this for the last several elections. So my question is, what would you say that I could tell people to get them interested in municipal politics, even just to vote? Because I feel like that's waning greatly in our town. Just want to add one thing. Pat, I like Facebook.
Who wants to, okay, Tim, you're up.
I'll start from a school board perspective, a school board experience. It is a privilege to serve on the Board of Trustees in the manner of a trustee, to represent your community, to represent your parents, represent the students, represent your communities. It's all about good governance. The three principles from a trustee perspective around good governance. It's about control of budget, making sure that dollars are being spent in the right places where the priorities are, based on the board's strategic plan, the direction the board has set as being priority, which is developed from the community. And it's about developing policies and procedures that support that strategic plan, that support the budget. So my answer from a board perspective, to get people excited, is really importance of the role of trustee in good governance.
Thanks, Tim. Richard, and then Pat, and then Gordon.
I'd tell them that our freedom and our democracy is hard fought for and hard won. And our freedom, this is our freedom and our democracy. Use it or lose it.
I've been a volunteer for many, many years, and one thing we know about volunteering is you get way more than you give. And one of the things that's interesting about council is that you learn so much, and it's one of the most rewarding positions. Serving your friends, your neighbors, people in your community, it's a very rewarding job, and trust me, we get a lot more than we give.
Bruce?
Thanks, Caitlin. I think your question was specifically is how do we get people your age, younger, anywhere near your age, engaged in the community? you're probably the busiest people. I know you're a busy mom of two. It's hard to get your time, but what we'd want to do is ask you for it, to engage people your age to be on our committees, to give insights from, I'll just call it a younger perspective. We need to make sure you understand what we are doing, so that when you ask questions, where do my tax dollars go as a homeowner in town, so you understand where that nearly 60% is going to the region, that you understand what you'll get back from that with strong advocacy to support our community. I think it's all about making sure that you understand and that we reach out to you and ask for your involvement in any way that we can.
Sorry, Gord, I missed you.
So I'm going to speak from experience. So the way to learn about the politics and what's happening up here in the school boards is to volunteer in the subjects that you are interested in, learn the system, and then take over. Right? So you could be up here. After you volunteered, you have to learn the system where you go. Once you've learned the system, then you can start participating further into it. Okay?
Carol.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate the words of somebody beyond me here, talking about the level of understanding. Communication skills are extremely important, but we want you to understand the roles that we play. It's so important that you become engaged and understand the work, because I definitely want to see young parents like you, young members of the community, become engaged in education.
Thank you, Dominic. And then John.
Oh, sorry. I think Pam had her hand up first.
I'm sorry, Pam. I lost you behind the microphone. Sorry.
Sorry. Anyways, it's true. We need to reach out and encourage, inform, the younger adults about how important it is to be involved and what it gives back. The volunteering and the things that you are able to be involved with when you're on council opens up more doors to help and touch more people to make a difference and to get more volunteers. And the education is just so important about the committees. If we could get time, even part-time, for younger adults to come in and see what we're doing, ask questions, and give their ideas would be so important, would make our community so much richer and better.
Thanks, Pam. Dominic?
Really quickly, I think you're also talking about people just being interested. Before you even get to the volunteer stage, they've got to be interested and they go, yeah, I don't care. How do you get past that hurdle to get people interested? I mean, volunteering is 5 or 6 steps away. There could be events that could engage, I don't know, at the theater. You could put...
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. You could do events that you could bring in something that's more relevant to people under 30, where you've got people like us there giving responses to things that actually affect their lives. When people say, I'm not interested in government, the cynical answer is, well, government's sure interested in you, but to get people interested. You're not going to get volunteers. You're not going to get people standing up for council until they actually care. And that's what you're talking about, looking around the room. You wish there was a lot more people in your age group. And I think that, we're back to communication. I think that we have to maybe do something to engage.
Christine.
Thanks, Caitlin. That's a great question. I think that one of the best ways to get younger people interested and engaged in politics is for them to see themselves reflected up here. That's a big reason why my kids are here, even though it's way past their bedtime. It's really important to me that they see us up here, that they understand that this level of community service is attainable to them. A big part of what we do as leaders is model leadership for the next generation. That's what it's all about. That's why I love being a scout leader. If you're in business, that's succession planning. Who is going to do this work after us? Because a lot of these issues we're talking about tonight, they're not 4-year issues. They're 10, 15, 20-year issues. We're picking up the work that's been done before us, and we're going to carry on, and we're hopefully going to make it better and do a better job. And then eventually we're going to pass it on to the next people, hopefully in better shape than we found it. But we need those people to be there. We need them to be interested. And for them to be interested, I think they need to see themselves reflected in the leadership up here today.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Christine.
I think it comes down to the vote, and when you're walking around and talking to people, it's critical to remind them that what you're doing is really hiring the right person to have your back in council, because we work for you. It's not the other way around, and I think that's where the complacency came, is that it is what it is, I can't change anything, but you can. It's the vote. And that's what democracy is about. And without that, we have nothing. So when you're out there and you're listening to somebody who comes to your door, you have to just take a look at it and take a look at the resume and say, is this the right person who I'm going to hire for the job? That's it. This is what covers you,
Okay, that's a perfect segue, John, to asking you to do the wrap-up comments, which is what you're all entitled to for a minute. But just before the wire, Gordon put his hand up.
I would just say to Caitlin that one of the best ways to get younger people, and I no longer can speak from that perspective as a younger person, to get them involved.
It's all in your head, John.
Yeah, to get people involved is to spend time building relationships, and that involves offering programs for younger people, sports. My wife and I spend a lot of time with younger families in our community, and one of the topics is about politics and service, encouraging them to get involved. As a candidate, get younger people involved in your campaign. They can help you with your signs. They can do all kinds of things. So thank you.
Ted, may I?
Thanks very much. I'd like to move now to the closing remarks. And I would ask, out of respect, that people in the audience, you've been really great throughout the evening, that we give attention for a little bit longer. They have been given the right for these closing remarks. Please don't disturb their final thoughts by leaving. It'll just take a few more minutes to allow them for some summations and for us to say thank you by our attention. And we start with Tim, please.
Thank you. And I'm going to set a trend. I'm going to do it from here.
That's fine.
Closing remarks. I really want to thank Cosmo and our moderator, Ted, for the opportunity, one, to be invited here tonight, and two, to be able to participate, communicate. Caitlin's last question was a great question about engagement. This is about engagement. My commitment, should I be voted for Durham Catholic District School Board Trustee, is to be in the schools, be in our northern schools, to listen to the parents, to be at the parent council meeting, and to be the voice of the parents at the board table. I am experienced, I'm committed to Catholic education, to that fundamental partnership between school, home, and the parish. And that's a long conversation, a deep and rich conversation. I'm an honest, integral, and hardworking individual. Please vote for me on October 24th.
Thank you, Tim. Tim Robinson. We move now to Richard Damianopoulos.
Thank you. For the last 2 years, I've been honored to serve this community as your Catholic School Board trustee. During my time as trustee, I've gained a track record of experience and success in your service. I've been questioning the speaking points and fighting to create a culture where we can discuss the key issues, ask critical questions, and be truthful with constituents. Tonight, I'm asking you to send me back to the board table so that I can keep working hard to represent you and keep fighting for our Catholic school community. On October 24th, vote Richard Damianopoulos to keep on being your strong voice for parents and students in North Durham. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Now representing the Public District School Board constituencies, first Carolyn Morton, please. It's crept up, Carolyn, sorry.
Thank you. My parents instilled in me a strong work ethic, a positive approach to life, a sense of dedication and responsibility. Because of my upbringing, I developed a practical, down-to-earth approach to life, which has served me well as an educator and as a trustee. I would consider it an honor and a privilege to continue to serve Brock, Uxbridge, and Scugog as their trustee. My goal would be to represent all elements of our communities in order to provide the best possible learning opportunities that we can possibly provide for our children. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Gordon.
Thank you. So again, thank everybody for coming out and listening to us. I would just like to state that I apologize to anybody who haven't got to your door yet. We got 3 townships, and even Carol, it's a big area to cover. So if I haven't been there, I'm here now. Okay. Secondly, I am a 2-term trustee with experience to serve your community for the next 4 years. It's been a privilege in the past, and I must say this is one of my highlights of my life is to be serving the public, and I've enjoyed it tremendously. So I'd ask for your vote on Election Day, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Gordon. Move now to Ward 5, Todd. Todd Snooks.
Just like to say thank you to the Cosmos for hosting tonight's candidate forum, to Ted for moderating. Thank you to my fellow candidates for putting themselves forward, and thank you to each of you for taking the time to attend. For Ward 5 residents in the audience, I trust that if you have any questions unanswered after tonight's forum, please reach out. I want to say that I have thoroughly enjoyed representing you and hope to have your support in continuing to serve you in the township of Uxbridge for next term. I make the same promises I did in 2018 and that I have upheld and will continue to do so: integrity, availability, and engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Christine.
Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for hanging in. It's not easy to stand up here and say that you're better than the guy sitting next to you. I'm not running in Ward 5 because it's where I park my car. I'm running in Ward 5 because I firmly believe that I'm the right person to represent you. I'm a negotiator, a mediator, an advisor, a manager, a scout leader, a crisis responder, a mother, and a very proud member of our community. Everything that I say and do is rooted first and foremost in respect. That's my promise to you. Whomever you decide to vote for, I hope that you continue to watch us very carefully and hold us all accountable for the things that we've said to you tonight, because the real test comes after Election Day. We're writing the next chapter of our town's history, and it will be my privilege to serve you as Ward 5 Councillor and to bring a new voice to the leadership of our town. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Aaron? Aaron Jones.
Hello again. Our town has been through a lot. Major construction, a pandemic, a tornado, now a fire. These events have been difficult, especially for the people who have been displaced and the businesses that have been destroyed. But these difficult times have also given us the unique opportunity to make our town stronger, more climate friendly, and to build back our heritage character. With so much growth on the horizon, now is the time to have leadership with vision. Imagine a downtown core filled with shoppers, a train station that brings people to town for events, patios bustling with conversation, and a town square where friends gather for music and celebration. Imagine trees planted in every open space, buildings that are energy efficient and built to withstand the next storm that blows through our town. Imagine a heritage district that actually looks historical, and neighborhoods that remain small, connected, and quaint. This is the vision that I have for Uxbridge, and I hope you share this vision, and that on October 24th, you will vote for the change we need to guide Uxbridge through this period of revitalization. I would be honored to serve you on council and to bring our town back to the vibrant and beautiful place that it was always meant to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Now Ward 3, Zed. Zed Pickering.
Hello, I'll try to keep this brief. I'd like to just say thank you so much for all of you for sticking in. It's been a long but wonderful evening. And when I think about serving in Uxbridge, I think about two key people in my life. One is my great-grandmother who moved here, so I thank her so much for all she did in bringing us from Elmira to the beautiful neighborhood or community of Uxbridge. And I also think of our 4-year-old daughter, who I'm now wanting to help shape the future for when I think about all that's beautiful about Uxbridge. We've got a lot of work to do. We could do this work together, and I'm just so thankful for all the powerful conversations we've had over the last several months. And thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you can vote for Zed Pickering so we can bring some real change together. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed. JP. Harold.
I'd like to thank the Cosmos, Ted, Roger, everybody else for hanging in. My 45 years here, I have seen a lot of change. I have ideas for the better, but it's your concerns what matter to me. So I'm here. My everyday job is sales, service, negotiation. That's what I do, and I've done it for many, many years. So I'd like to continue that and work as your Ward 3 councillor. So thank you. If you would vote for me, JP Harrell, thank you.
Thanks, JP. John Haddock.
I stand here. Barely.
Maybe.
You know, I stand here because, first of all, I respect you all. I'm here doing something that I believe was necessary. We have a 57-year-old company. I've been running that company for 32 years. It's a family business, and we supply some of the largest retailers in the world. And at some point, I decided that we needed to have the right people in council. We needed to have some businessmen in the council in order to get things straight and take a look at a budget and how we can stay firm on a budget and hold taxes and take a focus on the downtown core and where we're going and see the future 10 years out. So that's why I threw my hat into the ring yet again. And I do it because I want the very best for Uxbridge. And that's it. John Haddock.
Thanks,
Ward
John.
3.
Now from Ward 2, Gordon Shreve. The floor is yours, and whatever else you want.
Thank you, everybody. And someone wisely said the mind can only comprehend what the seat can absorb. And thank you so much to all of you for being here tonight and paying such careful attention. Why am I ready to represent Ward 2? First, I have a track record of commitment to rural life and service. I've lived, worked, and volunteered in Ward 2 for the past 20 years. I've been an advocate for issues affecting families, and I know how to resolve conflicts and offer sound advice during times of crisis. I have the necessary experience and skills to represent the ward. I know how to prioritize spending, manage budgets, and most importantly, get things done for people. If elected to council, I will work diligently with our mayor, councillors, staff, and other levels of government to secure funding through annual budgets, grants, and partnerships to upgrade our hamlets. I will be a strong, positive voice for Ward 2. And so I'm asking for your support as we take important steps forward to a brighter future in Uxbridge Township. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. And Patrick. Pat.
Thank you. I just want to talk about a track record a little bit. I spent 8 years as a councillor in the former Ward 2. I know how to get things done. We paved the 2nd concession, the 3rd concession, the town line, the 4th concession, part of the 5th concession, Ashworth Road. We renovated the Zephyr Hall. We renovated the Sanford Hall. During that time, I started the Sanford Community Association, which is extremely successful. So I do get it done. It's not just talk. I know how to get it done. It's been a pleasure serving those 8 years, and I hope to serve another 4 years. And I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. Please drive safe. Have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you. And the regional councillor position, first up is Bruce this time. I beg your pardon. Missed Ward 1. I'm just in a hurry to get out of here too, and I'm sorry, that's just not awful of me. I admit it, no. Sorry, folks.
Okay, I'm going to try and keep this
No, take your time.
short and sweet. Okay, Ward 1. So far, I've knocked on about 1,700 doors. Themes come up, and I'm sure they come up for every counselor, whether you're a newbie running or you've been around. Roads, fix them, slow them down. Then if you're on web between the 2nd and Durham 30, just plow it. The trails, maintain them, upgrade them, enhance them, make them better. What's up with the app? I've yet to meet one person who goes, that is the coolest app. We live in a great community here, and just the civility across this dais and throughout the room is a really good litmus test about what this community is all about, and that's why I love it. And I think that shows that we've got a great start for the next term. I have a lot of passion for doing this. Like I previously said, I think I come with some chops, and I hope I can serve you guys for the next 4 years. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dominic. Pam, do you want to do it from there? Are you okay? No, I'm okay. Yeah.
Thank you, the Cosmos, Ted, and the residents for being here. I am so excited about the next possibilities in the next 4 years. So many things have been put into place and are going to change. And we need that change, but we need to remember our history. We need to honor it, take strong action in today, and while planning for the future. And I mean, I've done that all my life. I'm a behavioral therapist in the background and a farmer. And let me tell you, farmers have to plan. And sometimes Mother Nature is not with us. Anyways, getting back, I love exciting people. And I've talked to so many people going door to door and getting them excited about so many things that are going on in our municipality, informing them, new people that come in. And I just love to serve. It means a lot to me and brings a lot back to me. And I've done a lot within the Goodwood area as far as speed control, and also with, and there's more to be done, but even with the Goodwood Hall, it is #1 as far as income, other than COVID, for bringing revenue in, and we've done a lot there. And I would appreciate people supporting me as they have in the past. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pam. Now, Bruce. Bruce Garrett.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have a clear contrast of your two regional councillors. The contrast I provide is that I'm a project manager. I get important work done, whether it be the new long-term care facility we have in town, the plan that's in place for downtown revitalization, or the fact that I've guided council, with their help, to 3 consecutive lower tax increases. To get results at the region, we have to take a strategic approach. Mayor Barton's background is in sales and relationship management. We don't need 2 Daves at the region. Dave and I don't always agree, but our styles do complement each other, and together we will be a strong team at the region. These last 4 years, this council has built the foundation for success by finishing the culvert project, setting the table for a revitalized downtown by establishing the proper zoning, and building better relationships at the region, at the province, and at the federal level. Let's continue to build on that success as we go into the next term. The ballots will be in your mailbox within the next week. I ask that you support me when that arrives. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Jack, please.
Well, again, thank you very much for coming. I have the experience I have the passion, and I have the energy. I love the people in the community. I love the township. I hope that you can have the same kind of life that my family's had here. 3 months ago, I want you to look and see what happened in the provincial election. 43% voted, the lowest in the history of Ontario. You're here because you're interested. Who you vote for, you know, that's your business. But vote. What I take to the region is 2 tools: common sense and what's reasonable. And I get that information from you people. I've always been able to help people. And that's what I want to do. If you've got a problem, it's a regional problem, bring it to me. If it's one of the wards that got a problem and it's a regional thing, then the ward councillor will bring it to me and we'll work together. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and to all of you, health and happiness.
Thank you, Jack. John. Bring it home, John.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all the candidates. This is a hard thing to do, and it's a lot of work, wear and tear on your family and yourself, so I congratulate you all. And over the last 4 years, it's been an honor to be your chair, probably during the most difficult time that our country has seen since World War II. I hope the leadership and experience that I've shown you to get us through COVID is something that you've seen, and how we've been able to work together as 8 communities to come through this strong and well. I'm really proud of the fact that I'm able to be here tonight, but this isn't my first time to Uxbridge. Those of you who know me know that I'm up here for Art in the Park, where I get a water gun, watermelon all over me, or whether I'm at the Christmas lights in Elgin Park with Regional Chair O'Connor, collecting donations at the end, or being here during the fair, or being at your council meetings. I am your regional councillor that you vote for, that I am the 3rd person that you have up here. It's about listening to you. It's about hearing you. It's about knowing how important our agricultural community is to our economy, where you generate $1 billion to the region of Durham. But there's more work to be done. The jobs that we've created during this term, during COVID, has simply been amazing, and the latest announcement with Bad Boy moving their entire operations to North Pickering is going to create jobs for our young people. Working with your council and the other 7 councils to make Durham the greatest place in all of Canada to live, work, play, and learn is my goal. To build a community where both my daughters, who do not live here, move back here not because their mom and dad live here, because the opportunities for them to have the dream that I've had with my wife in this community exists. I thank you all for being here tonight and for sitting so patiently. And Bella, when you're old enough to run, I want to knock doors for you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, John. I want to thank the candidates. I do a lot of interviewing and writing about people who face bullets and fear. There's nothing more fearsome than standing up and expressing your views and defending them in front of your neighbors. What you have done tonight to respond to our questions civilly with each other is a greater achievement than the courage described in battle. Because you survive and have to respond after that. And we have great respect for all of you, having done your homework, having done all the door knocking, having given all the time and the care that this community deserves. And we pay that back to you in applause and appreciation for coming out tonight. Thank you so much. And before you leave, candidates, John has asked for a group shot of the candidates, so don't all disappear. Where are you, John? Thanks again.